Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing what we do best, diving deep into the latest significant service updates from Azure.
Yep.
Our focus for this deep dive is on the new capabilities that rolled out between, let's see, August 11th and August 15th, 2025.
A pretty packed few days,
It
actually.
seems so. And our goal really is to cut through the noise, distill the most important insights, and maybe deliver some surprising facts and practical takeaways. Give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And maybe just to kick us off, it's always important to remember the difference between generally available GA and public preview.
Right, that GA versus preview distinction.
Exactly. GA means it's fully released, stable, ready for production. Public preview, well, that's more for testing, kicking the tires, giving feedback.
Right.
Understanding that really helps you decide, how and when to maybe incorporate these things.
That's a super critical distinction for planning, isn't it? Knowing what's really ready versus what you can start playing with.
Absolutely.
So let's unpack this. We'll begin with some foundational stuff, core infrastructure and storage advancements. First up, the Azure Files provisioned V2 billing model. This is now GA on the SSD premium tier.
Yeah, and the real power of this update, I think, lies in its core benefit. Provisioned V2 lets you independently provision storage, IOPS, that's input-output operations per second, and throughput.
Ah, okay. So they're decoupled now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It means you're not sort of forced to over-provision one thing just to get enough of another.
So if I'm understanding this, it's like having, say, separate dials for your storage space and how fast it performs instead of them being linked.
Exactly.
Previously, you might have had to buy way more storage than you needed just to hit a certain IOPS target, or maybe the other way around. Is that where the cost efficiency comes in?
Precisely. It's all about fine-tuning to your exact needs. Imagine you have an app that does lots of small, fast reads and writes, right? Needs high IOPS, but maybe not terabytes of storage. Or the opposite, massive storage, low throughput.
Yeah.
Before, you'd often end up paying for capacity you just didn't use.
Makes sense.
Now you can allocate those resources with much more precision, and that can lead to, well, potentially surprising savings by aligning your bill directly with what you actually need performance-wise.
That kind of flexibility sounds like a pretty significant win. Sticking with infrastructure, we also saw general availability for app service inbound IPv6 support.
Yes, this is another foundational step. It's now available across all public Azure regions for those multi-tenant apps on basic, standard, and premium SKUs, the different service tiers.
Okay.
And it also covers functions consumption, functions elastic premium, and logic app standard too.
So what specific scenarios or maybe types of apps does having this broad IPv6 support really unlock for people using app service? Are there compliance reasons or maybe new global reach things that make this a big deal?
Well, absolutely. For organizations with really strict compliance needs, especially government bodies or maybe those operating in regions where IPv6 is basically mandatory or strongly preferred, this is, well, it's non-negotiable.
Okay, so it removes a blocker.
It removes a huge hurdle, yeah.
Yeah.
For deploying those multi-tenant apps broadly on Azure, make sure they can meet modern networking standards, expands their global reach, just makes it easier to serve users everywhere without complex workarounds.
Okay, so we've laid some groundwork with network and storage. Let's move up the stack a bit to where applications really live.
Yeah.
The data layer. Azure's been busy here, seems like, especially for folks dealing with databases.
Definitely.
Starting with regional expansion, Azure Database for PostgreSQL Flexible Server, now generally available in Malaysia West.
That's right. So this expands the global footprint for PostgreSQL Flexible Server users, gives them a brand new regional deployment option.
Beyond just having a new region on the map, what does this actually mean for listeners? Thinking about, say, data residency or latency or even disaster recovery strategies, is there a big strategic advantage here?
Well, for users in Southeast Asia, especially Malaysia and nearby countries, this is huge.
Yeah.
It lets them keep their data geographically closer to their users or, importantly, comply with local data residency rules, which are becoming a bigger and bigger deal.
Right, data sovereignty.
Exactly. And closer proximity means less latency, so a snappier experience for apps served from there. Plus, it gives you another option for building out robust, geographically spread disaster recovery plans.
Makes sense. And for those using PostgreSQL within other Azure services, there's more news. Upsert and script activity in Azure Data Factory and Azure Synapse Analytics for Azure Database for PostgreSQL. That's now generally available too.
Yes, this is a fantastic enhancement for data engineers. Before this, if you wanted to, say, update a record if it existed, or insert it if it didn't, the classic upsert, or run custom SQL scripts as part of your data pipelines, you often had to write this kind of custom multi-step logic. Looking up records, then deciding whether to insert or update. It could get fiddly.
So it's about making those, yeah, often fiddly multi-step things much more straightforward, native within the pipeline tools, cutting down on boilerplate code and maybe potential errors.
Exactly that. This update gives you a native, highly optimized function right inside Data Factory and Synapse. It dramatically cuts down development time, improves reliability, especially for those high-volume data sync jobs where you're constantly updating or inserting. It's just about simplifying complex transformations.
Got it. And speaking of databases, shifting gears slightly, if you're in the NoSQL world, maybe dealing with the kind of scale Apache Cassandra handles, this next one's interesting. Azure Managed Instance for Apache Cassandra v5.0 is now in public preview.
Yeah, this is a pretty significant milestone. It gives you access to the very latest. Cassandra features things like better performance, new indexing capabilities, all without the traditional operational headache of managing the infrastructure yourself.
Okay, so for someone who's maybe been running Cassandra manually, what specific operational burdens does moving to a managed instance, especially a new version like 5.0, really take off their plate? Is it just patching and scaling, or is it deeper than that?
Oh, it's far more than just patching. Think about provisioning the cluster in the first place, scaling it out, scaling it in, handling backups, monitoring, even upgrading between major versions, which with Cassandra can be a bit of a delicate dance.
Right.
This service handles all that undifferentiated heavy lifting, as they say. And with v5.0, you get to use advanced features for query optimization, data modeling, stuff that might have been out of reach before. Just because managing that cutting-edge Cassandra yourself was so complex, it really lowers the barrier to entry for modern Cassandra.
And for an extra layer of data security, we have Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore encryption with Customer Managed E now in public preview.
Right. So this adds another security layer on top of the automatic encryption that's already there using service managed keys.
Yeah.
It lets you bring your own keys, giving you, enhanced control over encrypting your data in Cosmos DB for MongoDB.
Now, while that's clearly a massive win for security and compliance, does enabling customer-managed keys bring any new, maybe operational complexities or performance things listeners should be aware of? Is it really just set it and forget it?
That's a really important question. The security benefits are huge, no doubt, especially if you have strict mandates like IPA or GDPR. But it does introduce a new operational responsibility. You have to manage your encryption keys.
Okay.
This usually means integrating with Azure Key Vault, making sure you have the right access policies, having a solid key rotation strategy. So while it gives you amazing control, it's not entirely set and forget. It shifts some management onto you, but with significant security payoffs.
Right, responsibility comes with control. Okay, so once you've got your infrastructure and data sorted, the next challenge is keeping it all running smoothly, reliably. This next bunch of updates seems focused on operational excellence.
Yeah, making things more predictable, manageable, resilient.
First up, Azure Automation revised service and subscription limits. These are now generally available, and deployments resumed from August 11th, 2025.
Right. This update is really about ensuring a, let's say, fair distribution of cloud resources across all customers. The goal is better reliability and performance for everyone using Azure Automation, maintaining consistent service quality, basically.
When you say fair distribution and improved reliability, does that imply there were maybe issues before? Like resource contention, perhaps a few noisy neighbors impacting others? And what might this actually mean for existing heavy users of Azure Automation?
You've hit on a key point there. It is, likely a direct response to situations where maybe a small number of very high-volume users might have inadvertently used a disproportionate share of resources, causing unpredictable performance for others.
Ah, okay.
By clearly defining and enforcing these limits, Azure is trying to ensure predictable performance across the board. For most users, honestly, it probably won't change a thing. For the really heavy users, it might mean tweaking their automation patterns a bit, but ultimately, it should be a net positive for platform stability overall, a more consistent experience for everyone.
Okay. And staying on the monitoring side, we have tenant-level service health alerts in Azure Monitor. This is a new public preview capability.
Oh, this is a fantastic new feature, especially for larger organizations. It gives you proactive notifications about service health issues that impact your entire tenant, not just single subscriptions. It gives you that much broader bird's eye view of potential problems.
So for a big company with I don't know, hundreds or thousands of subscriptions, this sounds like a game changer for incident response. Does it really cut down the time to identify and grasp the scope of a service issue across their whole cloud estate?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it. Previously, you might have had to set up alerts for every single subscription, or maybe rely on service health dashboards, which can get overwhelming at scale.
Yeah, easily missed.
Right. Now, a single alert can tell you if a core Azure service is having issues impacting your tenant globally, or maybe across specific regions you care about. This dramatically cuts down diagnostic time for ops teams, allows for much more proactive, unified incident management, especially in complex environments.
Now, for developers and QA teams, this next one sounds pretty appealing. Azure App Testing. Scalable end-to-end app validation is now in public preview. Maybe no more frantic clicking around at 3 a.m. trying to replicate a bug, eh?
Hopefully.
Uh,
What's great here is how it lets developers and QA teams run large-scale functional and performance tests to pinpoint issues automatically. It supports popular frameworks people already use, like Playwright, Jimmy, or Locust.
Okay.
It basically brings together powerful testing capabilities to streamline app validation, especially at scale.
What kind of issues does this service specifically help find that might have been harder to catch with, say, traditional smaller scale testing? Are we talking about weird race conditions or performance bottlenecks under certain loads or what?
Yeah, it really excels at finding those tricky issues that only show up under heavy load or complex user interaction patterns. Think about memory leaks that only surface after hours of use, or database deadlocks that pop up when hundreds of users hit the same thing at once.
Right, the nasty ones.
Exactly. Or subtle UI bugs that only happen with a specific sequence of rapid actions. By simulating realistic user behavior at scale, it can catch those elusive bugs and performance bottlenecks long before they hit production. Saves countless hours of manual debugging, ideally.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, finally, let's highlight a key integration in the AI and analytics space. The Azure Databricks connector for Microsoft Power Platform is now generally available.
Yeah, this is a significant step for data integration. Makes it much easier to connect Azure Databricks and Microsoft Power Apps in several new ways. And crucially, it supports real-time data access without needing to copy data around or build complex ETL processes. It really streamlines analytics and reporting, especially for business users.
That sounds powerful. So for like business analysts or maybe citizen developers building Power Apps, they can now directly tap into the heavy-duty analytics and massive data sets processed in Databricks without needing to be deep data engineers themselves. Is that the idea?
Exactly. That's the core idea. Bridges that gap between sophisticated data science work happening in Databricks and, well, everyday business intelligence happening in Power Platform.
Nice.
It means business users can build dashboards, reports, maybe even simple apps in Power Platform that are directly fed by high-fidelity, real-time data and insights coming straight from Databricks. It really democratizes access to complex analytics, enables faster decisions without constantly asking IT for data exports or waiting for custom integration.
Wow. What an eventful week of updates we've covered today. Quite a broad spectrum, wasn't it? From core stuff like Azure Files and App Service IPv6
Right, the foundations.
to advanced data capabilities with PostgreSQL, Cassandra, Cosmos DB encryption, then onto essential dev tools and ops insights like the automation limits, tenant alerts, and that scalable app testing.
Yeah, quite a mix.
It seems pretty clear that these updates are all pushing towards giving users more control, boosting performance, and definitely enhancing security across the Azure ecosystem.
I think the real insight here maybe is how these updates, which might seem like individual point releases,
Yeah.
when you connect them to the bigger picture, they're continuously reshaping what's possible in cloud architecture and app development.
Yeah.
And that kind of raises an important question for everyone listening, I think. How might these specific advancements influence your strategic decisions, or maybe spark some new ideas for your projects going forward?
That is a powerful thought to leave everyone with. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the latest Azure updates. We really encourage you to consider how these insights might apply to your own work or, spark further exploration. Until next time.